found this book of compiled articles that was talking about psychiatry and religion, and the first one I read was, I thought, really biased towards the sort of science aspect of it, so I didn't want to use that. But luckily the second one I read was talking about how psychiatry and religion shouldn't be so against each other, and how the tendency in psychiatry is to dismiss all religious aspects of the patients and to just do everything scientifically. But my author was saying how since psychiatry is talking about the human mind and the human person, it can't ignore the sort of values you get in religion that don't come from science, things like ethics and morals and just values in general, personal values. So I thought that was really great because it was talking about sort of fusion between science and religion. So.
Next.
So I chose to summarize this article because it shows the Catholic Church's response to abortion. This article is also very rare because it is a response from Pope Francis, who usually doesn't really speak on abortion. In the past, he's actually avoided the subject so much so that he can focus on other pressing issues in the world. In this article, he strongly reaffirms the Church's stance on abortion. He also explains that human life is sacred and getting an abortion is a sin in the eyes of the Church. This article shows the religious debate that is present in the world, and it also helps by giving the point of view from the highest power in the Catholic Church.
I did an article on a fundamentalist Christian sect that believes in spiritual healing and rejects modern medicine. It's the Church of Christ, and they have practitioners in the church that charge people and pray for them to get better. The church is okay with people wearing glasses or using like a cane or a walker if the person's old, but otherwise they really don't believe in using modern medicine to treat ailments. And it's controversial in a legal sense because there was a case of a young boy in Massachusetts back in the 1980s who had like an intestinal blockage, and his parents used prayer to treat it instead of going to see a doctor when it could have been easily prevented, and the boy ended up passing away. And a case was brought against the parents for neglect, but the charges were later dropped. So I guess the question legally is, are you infringing on someone's religious freedom by persecuting them for exercising their religious beliefs, even if it means, even if the results of which are death? I don't know.
That's good. That's all right. That's good.
Oh, okay. Oh, and I want to add one more thing.
Sure.
So the church lobbied during the passage of the Affordable Care Act to have spiritual healing subsidized, or to have that kind of medicine reimbursed as part of people's health care plans. And that was very controversial.
Okay. All right. Work.
So I read articles on when you're officially considered dead according to the Catholic Church, which is important in Catholic hospitals and whatnot when it comes to organ transplants. So the National Catholic Bioethics Center defines death as brain death, and there are 4 neurological signs of this, which the Pope has Pope John Paul II talked about when he was addressing the International Congress with organ transplants. And the definition of death used to be easy to define because in the Catholic Church it was the separation of the soul from the body. And so when your heart stopped beating and your circulatory system stopped pumping blood, they knew you were dead. However, with ventilators, it's different because there's brain death, and when a person's on a ventilator, they seem to be alive, their body's warm to the touch, and they have the same coloring as if they were alive, but unfortunately, they're kind of in this limbo area, so it's hard to determine when someone's dead, so you can actually take their organs and harvest them and put them into someone who needs them. And yeah.
All right. Yep. Oh, sure.
Should I start?
Yep.
My article was on embryonic stem cell research, and it was about a discussion that took place at Harvard. And basically, there were 3 representatives from 3 different religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. And it talked about their stance on stem cell research. And it basically said that their difference in opinion was based on their definition of life, and each religion had their own different definition of life.
Okay. Great. Great. Good.
So I chose to focus on the topic of euthanasia in religion. So, and this article focused specifically on the attitudes of palliative care nurses after the legalization in Belgium in 2002. And the palliative care nurses are actually the most involved hospital staff member. Physicians are required to consent them on all euthanasia requests. So the study chose to focus on 2 research questions. Does religion and worldview influence palliative care nurses' attitudes towards euthanasia? And which particular aspect of religion would which particular aspect of religion exerts the most influence on palliative care nurses' attitude toward euthanasia? And they concluded that their attitudes were affected by religion and the 2 aspects were church attendance and the content of the religious beliefs, with the content of the religious beliefs being the most deciding factor in whether or not it affected their attitudes.
No.
That's really bad, sorry.
No, that's okay. It's all right. Great job. Great job.